Hey guys, it's Maddie and today I'll be doing my September wrap-up. Not to mention the fact that I'm wearing sweaters and a beanie and darker lipstick makes me so happy because that means fall is here and it's like, I can't even believe fall is here already. The year goes by too fast, but I'm so excited for fall. I'm excited to keep wearing sweaters. Also excited for the cooler weather because it is so hot in California, it drives me crazy. So getting off the point, today I'll be doing my September wrap-up. I read a total of 7 books this month. I think that's the most I've read in a month this year actually, so that is a big accomplishment and I'm so happy that I read 7 books. Usually on average I read about 3 to 4 books a month, but this month I read 7, so I'm like, yes, I accomplished a lot. So getting into the statistics of what I read this month, I read 5 contemporary books, 1 fantasy, and 1 dystopian book. I read 1 2-star book, 1 3-star book, 3 4-star books, and 2 5-star books, and I read a total of 2,212 pages. So again, I do my wrap-up in order to my least favorite book to my most favorite book, my favorite book I read this month. So with that said, let's just get started. So starting out with my least favorite book I've read this month, we're just getting started on a bad note here, and that is Written in the Stars by Asha Said. Not quite sure how to pronounce the author's name. But this book is about the Pakistani culture, and this girl is of that culture, and she is getting forced into an arranged marriage by her parents, but the problem is she already has like a boyfriend and she doesn't want to get married to some stranger, and so she does end up getting married to this stranger, and her boyfriend finds out about this and now he is trying to save her from this marriage. The information on the Pakistani culture was interesting. I read this for Diversathon, so I picked this book because it handled a different culture. But the thing I had a problem with this book was the writing style. I did not like the writing at all, and it just kind of ruined the book for me. I think the plot was good, but the thing with this book is it lacked so much detail that it was hard to get into, because I like a lot of detail in books because it helps me visualize it better. But this book skimmed over so many scenes and then it just moved on to the next scene that it was really annoying, and I just thought the writing style wasn't that good. So because of that, I did not end up loving this book. The only thing that saved it is because I really was interested in learning about the culture, but that's about it. So I gave this one 2 stars. I wouldn't necessarily recommend it, but if you're into diverse books, I'd say at least give it a try. Even though me personally, I didn't really love the writing style, but I have heard some people do really like this book. And next I have The Statistical Probability of Love at First Sight by Jennifer E. Smith. This was a really kind of fluffy read. It is about a girl who is traveling to London for her dad's wedding, and she really doesn't want to go, but she kind of has to because it's her dad, but she's not all thrilled that he's getting married to this woman she has never met. And while on the plane, she gets seated next to this young boy around her age who is British, and he's going back home to London for a trip, and they hit it off really well. And then when they get to London, they have to separate, but Hadley, the main girl, is trying to find a way to see him again. So this book, obviously by the title, deals with love at first sight, so it's kind of a given that this is going to be an insta-love book, which it was. And sometimes I don't mind insta-love too much, and the one in this bothered me a little, but the thing I had to remember is that that's the point. It's about insta-love. It's about love at first sight, so I can't complain about that. I knew what I was getting into. And because of that, I thought this book was really unrealistic to fall in love with a guy in like under 12 hours on a plane. It doesn't happen. So I couldn't give it like a full 5 stars because I thought it was really unrealistic, but it was a very enjoyable read. I enjoyed it a lot. It was so cute and fluffy, and though the romance was insta-lovey, it was still really good and really just cute. But that being said, I don't think I'd ever read this again, but it was a good book, and if you are into like cute fluffy reads, I would definitely recommend this one. And it is pretty short, so you'd be able to like finish it in probably a day. Next I have First and Then by Emma Mills. I had been wanting to get to this book for a long time, ever since I've watched Emma's YouTube videos and she's mentioned this book of hers, and I'm like, That sounds so good. So getting into the synopsis, this book doesn't have much of a plot, but it's basically about this girl and her cousin who she doesn't really see that often suddenly comes to live with them because his mother is having issues. So she's kind of dealing with him, and her cousin ends up getting on the football team. So because of that, she gets closer to this one boy named Ezra. They kind of have a rocky kind of relationship at first, but then they end up really getting to know each other, and it's basically like a friendship kind of romance type of book. It was really good, but like I said, it didn't really have much of a plot to it. By the time I finished this book, I was just like, what was the point of it? Because it didn't really like have much of a theme, but I did love how it was really cute. Again, another really fluffy book, and it was an easy read. It didn't like have a lot of world building because it's just like an easy contemporary romance book, and I did really enjoy it, and it was worth the read, and I ended up giving this one 4 stars. And next I have The Assassin's Blade by Sarah J. Maas, and this contains the 5 or 6 novellas to the Throne of Glass series. I think it's let me double check on that because I can't quite remember how many novellas are in here. Yes, there are 5 novellas to the Throne of Glass series in here. I had been wanting to read this for so long, and I finally got to it. The thing I regret though is that I read it after I read Queen of Shadows, and I later found out that you should have read it before you read Queen of Shadows, because Queen of Shadows has a lot of background information on Celaena's past, and this book contains all of Celaena's past in it. And had I read this before Queen of Shadows, I think I would have understood Celaena's background that is mentioned in Queen of Shadows a lot. So I kind of regret that, but I did enjoy this book. I thought Celaena's background was really interesting. It was worth reading about. We also got introduced to a certain character named Sam, who is mentioned in the Throne of Glass series so much, and I was so happy that we finally got to know him because Celaena mentioned him so much, and I'm like, I really would like to know more about him if he's mentioned this much. And he was brought up and shown a lot throughout this book. So I really enjoyed this one. It's a book you don't necessarily have to read with the Throne of Glass series, but I'd highly recommend to because it includes so much interesting backstory on Celaena's past, with her being an assassin for Arabin and her getting into slavery and all that. So if you're a big fan of the Throne of Glass series, definitely pick up this one because I think it's definitely worth the read. And I gave this one 4 stars. And next I have None of the Above by I.W. Gregorio. This is one of the books I read for Diversathon, and this book is all about a girl who later finds out that she is intersex, which basically means that she has both male and female part. And when she finds this out, she tries to keep it a secret, but her secret gets out throughout her school, and so because of that, she's facing prejudice and bullying. So she's kind of feeling alone and gets super depressed because of the bullying. But along the way, she gets involved with new friends who support her and try to lift her up. And this book is basically all about her just dealing with this disorder. I really loved this book. I loved learning about how intersex works. It was a disorder I've never really even heard about before. I think I knew what I've heard about, like what it was before, but I never knew it had a name or anything, or that it was like this common that it had to be mentioned in a book. But I loved learning about it, and I loved how anyone who has this disorder is represented in literature, which is why we need more diverse books, and this one was a good example of that. I thought the main character's feelings were so real, and I really loved that about her. One thing I didn't like though is that, and the one thing I had to critique this book on, is that she felt sorry for herself for the majority of this book, and I kept waiting for her to just buck up and get a little bit stronger and stop feeling sorry for herself, because I don't know, it was getting annoying a little bit. And she also did some things that I didn't really picture her doing. So I had to take off 1 star because of those 2 things. But other than that, I really loved it. I loved learning about this disorder, and I would definitely highly recommend it. And I gave this one 4 stars. And next I have Warm Bodies by Isaac Marion. I had seen this movie a long time ago, and I really loved the movie, so I was really wanting to get to the book, and let me tell you, the book did not disappoint. This book is all about a zombie named R, and in this world, zombies are a problem. They are everywhere, and this is basically a book about a zombie apocalypse. So R goes out on a feeding frenzy with his pals, and there he meets this girl named Julie, and he actually decides he doesn't want to eat her. He wants to take her back to the airport where all the other zombies live, and he keeps her on her plane. And Julie is obviously really scared of him at first, but they actually start bonding a lot. And this is all just basically a zombie and human romance story. I love this book a lot. I found that it was so different from the movie. The whole plot line in it, not the whole, but most of the plot line is super different. But I didn't mind that at all. I thought it was actually kind of better than the movie, which is saying something because I love the movie so much. But this one, the book was just so good. I love the main character R so much. We got to get inside his head a lot throughout this book, and he is just so hilarious. The things he thinks and how he narrates the book is so funny, and I just loved his character overall. He goes through so much character development throughout this book that it is kind of amazing. I think he's one of the most well-developed characters I have ever read about, so I really enjoyed that. The more character development in a book, the better for me, because I love that. And overall, if you haven't read this book yet, really do recommend it, and I gave this one without a doubt 5 stars. The last book I have, which is my favorite book I read this month, is Forget Tomorrow by Pintip Dunn. I had the pleasure of participating in the BookTube tour, which is a thing hosted by Grace at Loving Them Books on YouTube, and she hosts these tours where publishers can send you their books in exchange for review. So I was sent this one because I requested it for review, and I absolutely loved it. And if you would like more information on the BookTube tours, in case you want to participate or anything, I will leave links to the BookTube tours down below, and also I'll leave a link to my review for Forget Tomorrow. So this book is all about a world where people, when they turn 17, are able to receive a future memory from their future self, which helps them determine what their career is going to be, if they're going to have kids, if they're going to get married, all of that. And so Callie, the main character in this book, has reached the age of 17, so she is eligible to receive her future memory, but something goes horribly wrong, and she receives a memory that tells her that she is going to kill her sister. So because of that, she is deemed a criminal, and she's taken into prison before she even commits this crime, so that the government can prevent her memory from being fulfilled. But she does end up escaping with the help of her estranged best friend named Logan, who suddenly, after 5 years, comes back into her life and saves her and brings her to this place called Harmony, which is a place filled with people who are trying to escape fulfilling their future memories. I enjoyed this book so much. The concept of this is just so unique, and once I heard about it, I'm like, I have got to read it. So I was thrilled when I received this book, and it definitely did not disappoint. I loved the main character. I loved how she was trying so hard not to fulfill her future memory because she cared about her sister that much. And I liked how she was caring not only to her sister but everyone around her. She was just a very admirable character. I thought although the world building in this book wasn't amazing, it was really easy to understand. So I was able to follow along really clearly throughout this book, and it was super easy to read and just flowed so nicely. And I found myself really loving Pintip Dunn's writing style in this book. It was super descriptive. And another thing I loved is that the romance is so heavily present in this book, which is very unusual for a dystopian book. And me being a very big lover of romance, I definitely enjoyed that, and I think the romance was done so well, and it gave me all the feels. And overall, I just really love this book and would just highly recommend it. I think it's like a very underrated book because I had never even heard about this book before the BookTube tours. So thank you so much to the BookTube tours for bringing up this book and giving me the opportunity to review it, because I think it was amazing and I would highly, highly, highly recommend it. And without a doubt, of course, I gave this book 5 stars. So that is my September wrap-up. I had an amazing reading month. I only had one book that I didn't absolutely like, but the rest of them I enjoyed so much. And overall, it was just probably one of the best reading months I've ever had. So I can't wait for next month. I have a lot of books I'm planning to read, but you'll see that in my October TBR coming up very soon. And thank you for watching this video. If you liked, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe down below for more book-related videos. And I will be back with another video really soon. Bye!